Okay, continuing in our series of market failure, we are going to look at information failure. Okay, just a quick reminder, market failure, when does it occur? When there's a misallocation of resources caused by the unrestricted operation of the free market, and or it causes a net welfare loss to society. Make sure you know that definition. Okay, information failure, what are we talking about? There are potentially information gaps. So there is inaccurate, incomplete, misunderstood information. And as a result, it can lead to wrong choices for consumers. And as a result, they purchase the wrong amount at the wrong price. So either too much or too little, leading to a misallocation of resources. For example, if people don't understand the true social costs of a drug, so not just the private cost, the external costs, the whole social drugs, as a result that may be overpurchased. If people don't understand the full social benefits of higher education, they only consider the private benefits, again people are likely to purchase less higher education, so less people going to university. In addition, sometimes people are uncertain what are the costs or benefits, for example, of a pension, and as a result they don't put enough money into pension, which leads to greater poverty in people's elderly lives. In addition, sometimes inaccurate information, so a persuasive advertising campaign may lead to too much of a product being sold. In virtually every market we find instances or risks of information gaps. Okay, so you guys can have a little look at some of these. So for example, the risks from using tanning salons. Quite a number of them are unmanned, and as a result of that, again, you are trusting people, even if you provide information, to make the right decision. Okay, whether or not they actually take any notice of the information that's been given. Okay, cowboy builders or other rip-off merchants down on the bottom. If you don't know enough information about a particular builder, then clearly you have the capacity to be ripped off by any tradesperson. Okay, in terms of your notes, one of the things that we're just going to have a little look at here, just a reminder, your MPC, your upward sloping marginal product cost curve, that is your supply curve, and then you've got two demand curves, so showing marginal private benefit, and that's someone with limited information, the left-hand curve, or someone with fuller information, the right hand demand curve. Now, you're aware that individuals only take into account the private costs and the private benefits when they make a decision. So where marginal private cost meets marginal private benefit, that will be the equilibrium. Now, if someone only has limited information about a product, okay, you may get an equilibrium Q1 with a price P1. But if they've better known the benefits to themselves of healthcare or a pension or something along those lines, then with fuller information they may have purchased more. Okay, so the demand curve would have shifted outwards and would have led to a higher equilibrium quantity in the market. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to think, but by the way, just go back a second, by the way, we may have called that type of good a merit good. In terms of the previous slide, okay, people have underestimated the benefits, but how would we draw a parallel situation, but for a good that is actually worse for us than we think? So e-cigarettes, or the use of tanning salons, which I mentioned a minute ago. Okay, how would we show that? Okay, so this time, in terms of this, what you've got is your demand curve. The left-hand demand curve is when you have fuller information, but with limited information, you're on the right-hand demand curve, NPB. Okay, so with limited information, perhaps we will purchase more than we should do otherwise. So we would operate at a position such as Q2, P2, whereas if we had that information, if someone would close that information gap, then we would actually purchase less. Okay, so these can be described as demerit goods or goods with negative externalities. Okay, a special case, asymmetric information. In your notes, if you could highlight this exam tip. When they changed the syllabus a few years ago, they wrote in asymmetric information, especially to ensure that students would focus on this. Now, what is asymmetric information? It occurs when someone in the market, either the buyer or the seller, knows more than the other person. So when either the buyer or the seller knows more than the other person, and this makes it difficult for two people to do business together. Okay, so for example, if mechanics possess specialist information about the service and maintenance of cars, but consumers don't, then whatever the mechanic says, you're really going to have to trust them or a different mechanic. If you buy a second-hand car in a private sale, again, the owner knows more than the buyer. If you buy products at an auction or a car boot sale, okay, who knows more information than the other party? Now, as a result of this, it can lead to people making the wrong choices. They buy too much or too little at too high or too low a price. So there's a misallocation of resources and the market therefore fails. Okay, and there are a whole host of examples of markets where there is asymmetric information. Either the buyer or the seller knows more than the other. Okay, what I would like you to do, in your notes you have a table, and I want you to complete this. So for eBay and then for tenants and landlords, which people in the market have most information, the buyer or the seller? Okay, and what is the likely impact of the asymmetric information in the market? Okay, will be people buy too much or too little at too high or too low a price. Okay, so see if you can work that out. Try and use the knowledge that you have about those markets. Okay, take around 4 to 5 minutes to complete the task. Okay. Just pushing on in terms of this lad. He was 13 years old, went to a tanning salon. He spent 21 minutes under the lights of a stand-up booth and suffered severe blistering after going to a salon tanning centre 3 times in a day. Okay, again, this was unmanned. Okay, you're going to finish off having a look at this past paper question. Have a look at the question. Using the above information, you must use it. Explain what is meant by asymmetry of information. Okay, this is all about buying second-hand cars from car dealerships. Okay, make sure that you explain the term. Make sure that you use the data effectively, and what is the likely outcome in this situation. Okay, just a couple of extension ideas. Moral hazard and adverse selection. These are good economic terms. Try and make sure that you get this into your economic commentaries and language. Moral hazard basically occurs when an insured consumer is likely to take greater risks as a result, knowing that if something happens, that the claim will pay for their cover. So, for example, if you were into something like base jumping, which is obviously very risky, and you took out travel insurance for activities like that, then you're far more likely to undertake those activities, and you're far more likely to get hurt and require medical assistance. Okay, so there's a moral hazard. Okay, so you know you're doing something that is more risky, but you're prepared to do it partly because you've covered yourself. The next term, adverse selection. This is a nice one. You should have a look at this. Good close look at this. What's it all about? So in terms of health insurance, the people most likely to purchase health insurance are those people most likely to use it. Okay, so people who are smokers, people who are drinkers, people with underlying health issues, they're more likely to need that health cover. Now, the insurance company knows this and so raises the average price of insurance cover. Now, that means that people who are generally healthy and don't have issues, well, they would be being overcharged. And so those people get priced out of the market, meaning only high-risk individuals gain insurance, okay, which is clearly a form of market failure. This last past paper question we will do in class. Again, this is a nice question. If you want to have a little look at it and get some ideas, it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. Okay, try and think of actual real-world examples of these terms in order to support you. Okay, thanks everyone.